The second last page of this book, the second last page, there is one line that absolutely hooked me for the rest of the series. Like, I legitimately ordered the next two books. So we are. Hey, book fans! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Freak Angel and I read a bit. So, this is week 2 of Caught Up Red Handed, where we talk about the books that we've been reading for the past week. So it's January, it's cold, it's winter, I'm sick of shoveling. But being cold does mean it's a good time to get cozy with a blanket and a good book. So if you caught the first episode from our first week of the new year, which wasn't even a full week really, one, I'd like to just apologize for the lateness of that episode and everything being a little clustered up with this week. I'll be so for real for you. My little wrap up of 2025 reading and listing my 26 for 26 actually took considerably longer than I intended it to, and things just got really backed up this past week. But going forward, next week, everything should be all good. Back to normal. You will be getting these episodes midweek. All right. So once we get everything on track this week and get caught up, we should be all good. So if you caught the first episode, you know that I was about halfway through Beartown. Yeah, I finished it. Beartown by Frederick Bachman. It absolutely was an emotional read. I totally understand why people like bawl their eyes out while they're reading it. I definitely like shed a tear here and there. Like, I more than got watery-eyed, but I didn't full-blown ugly cry sob, which I kind of expected might happen from other people's reactions to this book. But yeah, as it stands, The Sword of Kaigan holds that place for me as the book that made me absolutely full-blown ugly cry sob, like just be a mess of a person. Ah, Sword of Kaigan, so good, so good. Anyways, Beartown, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely understand why so many people rank this book so highly. It is exceptionally well written, emotional, moving, and it covers some very heavy and important topics. Trauma, trigger warning. Yeah, this book is very much about assault and how a town handles those allegations and the ramifications of that action, or some people, and the lack of them for others. But it's also about like friendship, and in some ways, for some of these characters, it's about self-discovery and growing up, personal development. There's a lot more going on in this book than just a small town's hockey team. So if you didn't see the first episode where I talked about this book, Beartown is like a failing small town, but it's a hockey town, and their like junior team or something is on the way up. They've got the semifinals coming up, and if they win the finals, it could revitalize the town. It could basically save the town, because this like hockey academy would end up likely coming here. Anyways, the book was great, and while I was reading it, I was unsure if I was going to continue the series, because this is like general fiction, and I'm much more of a speculative, like a fantasy, sci-fi, romantasy kind of reader for the most part. Not exclusively. I'm looking at you, thrillers, romance, But I was unsure if I was going to continue the series or just leave it at the first one. However, on the second last page of this book, the second last page, there is one line that absolutely hooked me for the rest of the series. Like, I legitimately ordered the next two books, so we are going to be doing that. But the line, like, spoiler, not spoiler, like, I'm not going to actually give the names or anything, but it basically lists like 4 characters from the book. And it's like, in 10 years' time, 2 of them will be doing this, and 1 of them will be doing this, and another of them will be dead. And then it just moves on, like, paragraph break, moves on to the next topic, And that line alone, I'm like, wait, which one? Which one? And how? Why? What happens? Also, I'm going to say right now, 100%, I love Benji. I love Benji. And that poor bass player, like that situation, that whole situation, like that's tough, man. That's tough. And on one hand, you really like wish that he could be bold enough to, like, present his authentic self to the people in his regular day-to-day life, but also you see how the town is, you see how the team is, you see how, the jokes and the conversations, just the language that he's surrounded with. It's completely understandable why he wouldn't tell anyone. And that's heartbreaking. This book has like representation, it has some diversity in a way. It's translated. There are lots of reasons to check out this book, but I will say, like, triggers, emotional wellness is not assured when you read this book. Like, I do understand why so many people are like sobbing when they read it. Like, I get it. I get it. I also told you last week that I was like a little bit more than halfway through The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher as an audiobook. And yeah, I finished that. I mean, it's not very long, and I was, a good chunk of the way through. And the ending was satisfying, though I will say I didn't find it particularly horrific for the most part. Like, there were a couple of scenes mostly involving this one dude in the water, surrounded by what was originally thought to be either like his hair or like seaweed, and it turned out that it was something else. Not gonna spoil it for you, like what it was, but that guy was creepy. And there was something with a school bus and kids in the seats, like very much in the seats. That was like messed up and weird, like real weird. But in terms of actually like horrifying, like it wasn't really that scary, but it was odd, and it was that kind of like creepy weirdness vibes. Like, if you're looking for a weirdness vibes, alternate reality or dimensions, multiple like worlds, kinda. Like, this'll work. This'll work. And it's short, it's a good read. I also really liked the journal that our girl found. Basically, when they were in, like, I guess the hollow place, like out on that island, like there were these like bunkers, and they found some supplies left by some other people who had been there. But when they were going through these supplies, they found like MREs, like emergency food stuff that the army would have, or that like doomsday preppers have, you know what I mean? That like freeze dried meals. But everything on it didn't make sense for it to be from Earth. So they found it from like some other people from some other place, even beyond this hollow place that they were in. And in that, they also found like a Bible that was very similar to our Bible, but not quite the same. But one of the people had like left notes all in the margins as a journal because they hadn't brought their journal with them on this trip. Everything in that like journal experience, that was really interesting. I like that. I like that part a lot. Yeah, so like that was a decent listen, decent listen. And since then, I've started listening to Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the first book in a series, The Founders, and I'm actually more than halfway through this one as well. And honestly, I'm really liking it. Tell me how I put The Tainted Cup on my 26 for 2026 by the same author, but I ended up starting a different series by him first. Like, what is wrong with me? But I'm really digging this so far. So, our main girl, she's like a thief, right? But she's in this world that I want to say they have magic, because it's basically like magic, but it's like magical items. But they explain the magic in a very like science and technology sci-fi kind of way. So it's like they have tech, but the tech is basically like magic. So basically they scribe. onto these items, which basically means they like inscribe it or write on it, like, they put text onto the items, but it's in a language by a lost people. And those people had like basically the ability to create gods, you know what I mean? They could alter reality. And our people only have like a basic understanding of a small portion of this language, but they've been able to use it and develop it in such a way that they can inscribe items to alter the reality of the items. Like, they worked really hard on trying to alter the reality of gravity with disastrous effects on people while trying to learn how to fly. So much so that they outlawed the use of altering like gravity and working on people. You're not allowed to like scribe into people, even though there was experimentation on doing that went very poorly. Now, here's the thing though. Our main girl, yeah, she can hear the scribing because she's got a scribe plate in her head. Because those experimentations, yeah, she was like a slave, and she was experimented on, but it succeeded. But there's no like records of this having ever succeeded in the past. So she's pretty special, but also she's like a poverty wretched like little sneak thief kind of thing. This hasn't worked out like well for her. Why? Why? Because she escaped. Okay, they did all this experimentation on her, and then yeah, she escaped her enslavement. She burned that place. She gone. Okay, she took out the people that did that to her, and yes. Yes, queen. Absolute baddie. Like, let's go. Anyways, we start off where she's on this, like, mission to steal something from, like, the harbor front, like, basically from, I don't know, a boat or whatever. But it's, like, locked up at the harbor front. And she's using her, like, little scribe tech items that she had purchased for her thieving needs to break in and get this box. But things don't go exactly according to plan, and one of the items kind of fails, and the like waterfront gets caught on fire. She gets the item though, so cool. She goes off and she meets with some of the people like that she gets her items from, cause one of the items failed, acquires a discount for future use. Sick. But there are some other problems. Some other people start coming after her basically immediately after she gets this item. She wasn't supposed to look at what the item was, but she did. She did. She was in her little crappy apartment and she opened the box. She wanted to see what could possibly be worth the massive sum of money that she was going to get for this job. But it was a key. And when she touched the key, she could hear it. Now, she can hear scribed items, but this thing wasn't scribed with any symbols she had seen before. And she could hear this key in a different way. Like, this key talks to her. It also can hear her thoughts. So they communicate in her head. The key is snarky, but the key has a very complicated past that isn't entirely clear, but we're getting it bit by bit. We also we get people chasing her that we can assume are actually the people who want this item. Perhaps the original people who had the item. I don't know. But we also have a guy from the harbor front. He's basically also been trying to create a police force, and he's like high up in the family of the government, essentially. It's not really the government, they're like these different houses, these different like trading houses, so it's all kind of governed by the people with the money, all right? There's these like four houses. Anyways, he's important to one of those families. He becomes an important character because he's after our girl because she burned down his waterfront and stole something from there. Then we meet the guy who owned the box that she stole. And I say owned kind of questionably because he used skeevy money methods to acquire this box, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of illegal for him to have the box as well. So we have multiple reasons to question, like, is this key really his? Maybe it belongs to those other people who are trying to chase after them. Hmm. Hmm. The story goes from there. She is hiding the fact that she has the key from everyone, though, right? So she's now caught up with these people trying to find the people that are chasing after her because those people are after the key, right? But she's convinced these other people that, like, oh, those are the people who have the key. Anyways, there's a lot of hijinks, there's a lot of antics, and, potentially heisting type situations. And your girl loves a good heist. So I'm a little more than halfway through. I'm loving, absolutely loving the magic tech, more explained than we typically get kind of vibes. So we'll see. We'll see. But I am more than halfway through and I'm really liking it so far. So I can't imagine that I won't be finishing it and likely continuing the series. As to if I'll be continuing them right away or if I'll be listening to something else and then going back to the series, that remains to be seen. But I'm not physically reading anything right now. Like, I finished Beartown this morning, like less than 24 hours ago, you know? So, what do I want to read next? I mentioned to you last week I was toying with the idea of using the TBR spinner wheel when we get this situation to give myself like a couple of options to pick from and give you an idea of what I might read in the coming week. And then we'll see which one I actually pick. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna get the screen recorder up here on my phone. All right, so how do we want to do this? How many prompts do we want? I mean, the reality is I'm probably only going to read one, maybe get into a second one, or possibly like start one and not even finish it. But still, how many prompts? How many prompts? Let's do three TBR prompts, but we'll also spin the Kindle Unlimited wheel and the 26 in 26 wheel. Although it only has 25 things on it, I didn't put the Monstress graphic novel Compendium on there because I'm reading that one chapter each weekend. Oh, I forgot to mention that. I did read the first chapter and it was awesome. I'm already invested. No joke. It's kind of like horror fantasy, I think. I'm only one chapter in, but I'll have to make a mental note to tell you more about that next week when I've read chapter 2. Okay, so we'll do 3 spins here and see. Okay. So we'll do 3 TBR spins and we'll see where that gets us. But I will say the 26 and 26 and the Kindle Unlimited prompts are on here. So if we land them on this, then we'll have less than 5 prompts. But chances are we're going to have 5 prompts. First prompt, fantasy. Easy. Too easy. That doesn't narrow it down at all. Okay. Second, a predominantly white cover. Okay. I can work with that. And spin number 3. Insta scroll. No. Oh no. That's not gonna work out well for me at all. Okay. So let's spin the Kindle Unlimited wheel and see what we get. Silent. Oh, see, this thing says the lies of Lena, but on my screen it stopped on silent lucidity. Let's just spin it again. That's ambiguous. It should like stop pop, you know what I mean? The Things We Water by Mariana Zapata. 718 pages. Okay, she thick. She thick. Once upon a time, a girl found a magical puppy, and her life was never the same again. Okay. Let's see. Fantasy futuristic ghost romance. So it's Mariana Zapata's fantasy book? I could count this as a fantasy book for the fantasy prompt. I mean, sure, The Things We Water. All right, all right. I mean, that's if I want to double up. I own a lot of fantasy books, but I haven't read anything on my Kindle in a while. And I did say that one of the things I wanted to do this year was be better about using Kindle Unlimited. So, you know, there's that. Then we'll do a 26 and 26 spin. A Song of Ice and Fire. So, Game of Thrones. I'm gonna be so for real right now. I kinda mentally am saving that for like maybe March. My birthday's in March, and in my mind, like I'm reading that on my vacation that I'm taking, around my birthday. Although, like, I could start it now. Well, that's the pick. Like I said, we're gonna have like five prompts, and I'm probably only gonna read like one of them. So it's funny though, this is another fantasy when one of my prompts was read a fantasy, and we've gotten Mariana Zapata's fantasy book when she's typically like a contemporary romance writer. And then the 26 and 26 prompt gave me a fantasy. So everything on this is pushing me to read a fantasy. But we need to do an Insta scroll. Okay, so this is my Instagram. This looks like it's going to be an arc. Probably not anything that I own. Like, this is incredibly long. Well, it's not actually long, but like, for what I'm trying to do here. Yeah. Yeah. And not. Okay. Okay, wait. Maybe with the Vampire I've read before. I did want to reread it, but not right now. Library of Hellbore I don't have. Red Rising I read last year. Black Hunger I don't have. First Rider's Call I don't have. Blood Over Brighthaven I've already read. Red City I don't have, and 1984 I don't have. So, well, I've read it before, but I don't own a physical copy right now. This could be a sign for me to catch up on Murderbot if we're talking about the first thing that I see that I own and could continue with. I do have one more Murderbot I need to read. Red Rising I've already read. Ads. Oh my god, dogs. This is why I don't like the Insta scroll prompt. I should probably take it off. Do I recognize these edges? A couple of them, but not as something I need to read. With this. Nope. Oh, there's way too many. Wait, there's got to be something here. Look, there's another sign to read. Game of Thrones. Hyperion. I need to read. Ooh, I see Fireborn, which I own. That's an option. Oh, I also see The Expanse, and I really need to read book two. That's on my 26 for 2026. I see The Tainted Cup, but I'm gonna continue with the one that I'm listening to before I get into another series by that author. Um, yeah, I think this is the one that we're gonna pick something from. Hmm. Malazan, I'm not starting that this year though. Oh, Tagana's so good. The Will and the Many, I'm not ready to start that yet. Yeah, out of these, I think I'm most drawn to either Fireborn for, dragon fantasy. I remember when Fourth Wing was huge, people were saying that Fireborn is like Fourth Wing, but better. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I haven't read it yet, but I do own it. And The Expanse. Yeah, the second book of The Expanse. So Caliban's War. Yeah. So that's for the Insta scroll. So I need to pick a predominantly white cover. I'm going to pick The Raven Boys by Maggie Stayfather. Now I just need a fantasy, which there's so much fantasy on this list already. Hmm. Oh, it's so hard to pick. You know what? I'm going to pick Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, the third and final Emily Wilde's book, because I read the first two last year and I'd love to finish the trilogy. Plus, we've already got a lot of heavier, chunkier fantasy options among this for our week. It's just for a week. Uh, but yeah, I thought something cozy might be a cute little option. So we'll see what I'm in the mood for this coming week. Will it be Game of Thrones for an option for our 26 in 2026? The Things We Water by Mariana Zapata for a Kindle Unlimited pick? Will it be The Raven Boys for a mostly white cover? Will it be Caliban's War from our Insta scroll? Or will it be Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales for a fantasy? Who knows what I'm going to be in the mood for? But if you're interested to find out, be sure to subscribe for more bookish content to come in the future. I'd love to have you here. And drop a comment down below letting me know what you've been reading so far in 2026 or what you're planning to read this coming week. Or if you've read any of the options that we just picked on our random spinner adventure, I'd love to hear from you. Bye-bye.